Hey Robin, alright, so here is your past life spread. Now what we're going to do is look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time there, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day with relationships and feelings, the death and the lesson learned, and we'll get hints of time throughout. So all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what comes through here and your current life, and I'll try to help how I can. So just keep in mind that you can make connections a couple different ways. One way is direct, another way is opposite. Direct would be matching up directly with the information coming through. The opposite would be because our souls experiencing one thing want to experience something else. So they would experience opposite sort of thing. So keep that in mind, and we're going to go ahead and start. So here, where we're going, this is the Africa card. Now, what's coming through here is actually it feels like a young woman, and it feels like she is in Africa but not from Africa, or if from Africa, her parents are not from Africa, such as maybe from the UK or even USA. And it feels like we're looking at the cusp of the 20th century. So it's almost like, it feels like there's something about this young woman being a daughter. And so, for example, that comes through in a way where it's like you want to look at the theme in your current life about the role of being a daughter. How does that play in for you? Were you born into a family, or I should say, did you choose a family to be born into that was kind of patriarchal and really put you in your place, or molded you in the form of a daughter, as in the good daughter, so to speak? So when this comes up, it's like, let's assess what roles that you're allowing to lead your life. And do you agree with them? So we're actually looking also at the idea of processing that and coming to maybe redefine certain roles in your life, whether it's mother, wife, friend, daughter, volunteer, whatever it is that you do, that you play the role of. This would be a message for you to tap into those roles and see how they're affecting your life and in what ways, and do those ways feel like they serve you? Do those ways make it so that you are prioritizing yourself? Do those ways take away or make you compromise what you want from life in order to serve other people or be a people pleaser in that way? So basically, you want to look at these roles and redefine them to make it so that you feel the most fulfilled. Hey, sorry, okay, the light was getting in my eyes, so I had to change things around, but let's continue. So, we want to look back, and you want to consider about the roles, right? So, just bring that up, process the roles that you are playing in your life, so to speak, or allowing yourself to play. And also the idea of allowing these roles to play out. Which roles feel played out? You can feel this. It's an energy. You can feel when something feels stale or stagnant, okay? So keep that in mind. And we're going to go to this card here. Oh, keep making connections with the Africa card, though. And as far as the region itself, if you've been drawn to parts of Africa, because it feels like where we are here, you are drawn there because you are there, again, with your parents, and it has a feel of being North Africa, and it feels like the reason you're there is because it's like a father figure having a job there, and the job feels like it is academic / field work. So we're looking at someone who, so your aspect is with you could say a scientifically minded, left-brained kind of father figure, however, who dabbles with the idea of discovery. So we're looking at someone who's left brain, but has that little like urge for some Indiana Jonesing kind of thing, right? So that can also be a connection for you in, well, one, how your mind might work. Are you mostly kind of left brain, but you allow these like thoughts, your thoughts to like go off and dabble in the mysterious, in the even occult, or the strange, or the, I hate to say strange because it's you know, it's all interesting, it's not bad. Or the mystery, the discovery, the unknown. Does that intrigue you? That kind of thing. The treasure hunt of it all. This can also be a connection as far as who you've chosen to be your father figure in this life, even. Something directly like that. How is your father figure in this life? Is he like what we're talking about here, where there's a lot of left brain to him, but he allows in some right brain creativity and interest and intrigue? Or did you pick someone who is completely just boom, wall up, very conservative, doesn't want to talk or allow any play into his life, or the opposite, who now would be completely right-brained and creative and artistic and this and that, to having a different experience as a child than you had here, if that makes sense. So also the connection of being drawn to North Africa, and what we're looking at is the area that you would consider Egypt. So the time period, again, cusp of the 20th century, you might want to also consider if you've ever been intrigued in that time period, whether it's learning it in history in school, so to speak, or if it's, I guess if you were to look, I want to say even like specifically, like, okay, so you are there because of bringing their parents, so I guess how the best way to say this is of European descent, right? So you want to look at that time period in northern Africa, in the Egypt area, of people who went there of European descent, you know what I mean? For the purpose of, I want to say, academia or studies, or not missions as in religion, but missions as in to complete a project. So projects, field study in particular is coming through. And even though it is your father's work, there's something about it that is interwoven with your energy as well that I feel is coming from this card over here. So we're just going to move to this card, but it's still linked. And this card is the laborer card for what you did with the majority of your time. Now the laborer card here is usually used for like, you know, like hard physical labor, but what it's heavily implying is we're looking at a female aspect of you here that has tomboyish qualities, or is like very strong-willed, or basically not what you would consider like a feminine dainty woman, you know, just like sitting pretty kind of thing. We're looking at someone who's like in the field. What's coming to my mind, if you've ever seen the movie The Mummy, and you've seen the main character, the woman main character, how she's like in the field and she's studying and she likes to read and she likes to do, you know, like the discovery of it and get dirty and run fast and, you know, basically just equal with the men, you know, wield a weapon, whatever it might be. That's the energy of this person, it feels like. So we're looking at like a tomboyish thing, which is, but it's really like what we're looking at as a strong woman. So this could be coming up, for example, almost like to make sure that you're giving yourself permission to show certain traits that you might feel about yourself, but might not align, again, with the role that you might display to the world. So you hold back traits maybe just for very close friends who really know you. And this would be just a message of making sure that you're giving yourself permission to be bigger than that. It's in the vein of, you know, soul expansion, consciousness expansion. If you want to grow and develop and expand your consciousness, your abilities, your awareness, all that kind of thing, you have to take a certain kind of action or make a certain kind of effort. And for some people, it's meditating and it's practicing spiritual, you know, whatever, and that's great and well. But for others, and for a lot actually, it's actually making the effort to be different in a way that is more aligned with who you really feel you are, or who you really feel you are becoming, or who you really feel like you want to become, the person you visualize as your best self. Is that person demure and passive, or is that person opportunistic and in a good way, and take charge when it comes to her own path, that kind of thing. So it's just, again, make sure that you are giving yourself permission to expand your role, and also the idea, just play with the idea that you can be a different person every day. You really can. You're just we're all maintaining roles, and we have choices that, you know, every day we choose to maintain that role. And by now it feels like second nature to all of us, most of us. But when you kind of play with the idea, it's kind of interesting because you do realize, wow, I am choosing to be this way again today, when really today I might want to be something completely different. Because a lot of us are taught that consistency equals loyalty to people we love. But really, people want consistency in that way and not see you change, because it's scary to them to interact with people who have that much power and control over themselves and that much empowerment, that they've given themselves permission to be who they want to be in the moment they want to be it. Does that make sense? So keep making connections with that and this card. And there's also something very cool about like her being on, it feels like the dig. That's what I want to say. It's like, oh, there's digs, like the field site. I keep wanting to say field, the field work, the field site. This is also, you know, if you've ever been drawn to archaeological digs or archaeological documentaries where they're unearthing, you know, like ancient tombs and stuff like that, that would be a connection here in case that's the case. So just keep making connections wherever you can here. So we're going to go to the first important day. Okay, so the first important day, oh wait, there's one more thing about this card. Okay, so this is the labor card, it's work, right? So the thing is the work that you do alongside your father is not work at all to you. So there's this concept coming through of the idea of making sure that you understand that you can manifest a life where your life's work is what you make of it, so that it doesn't have to be thought of as work, rather it's life. Like you can make your life, your career, I suppose, something so much that you love it so much that it's not, you wouldn't even call it work, but you have to call it work, otherwise people wouldn't know what you're doing, like that kind of thing. Making sure that, let's say you are in a work environment currently that you're not feeling aligned with, that you just keep your eyes open for opportunities and signs and put it out there into the universe and be like, look, I'm not aligned with this anymore. I'm ready for my next state. Like, I'm ready for my next state of evolution when it comes to what I do with the majority of my time in my day. And it could be that, well, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, even if you're retired, whatever it might be, if you're not aligned with what it is that you do for the majority of your time, just know that there is no reason that you cannot find the thing that makes it feel like you are having fun and playing for most of the time, when that is technically work as well, if that makes sense. So again, redefine the role even of what it is to be a worker. Because it's like, again, we're taught that you have to like really, you have to, and there's also, you know, money involved too for a lot of people. It's like, oh, well, I have to work hard in order to get this much money. And you know what? If you're going to believe that, then that's going to be the case. But if you start to process your beliefs in certain ways, where you start to redefine those beliefs, then the universe has no choice but to reflect back to you your expectation based on your belief system. So just play with that notion, because now we're dabbling into the idea of manifestation, which might be intriguing to you. So keep that in mind, okay? Now we're going to go to the first important day here, and this is the Wowzer card. It's one of my favorites, because it's like, this is like an aha moment, or like something big happens that kind of opens your eyes and your mind, and it, you know, something you don't expect. It could be surreal, whatever it is. Now, the relationship card for this day is the Karmic card. And the Karmic card usually is about someone that we're seeing in this life that has come back into your current life. And a lot of times, you know, you see them here and there, because a lot of times they are soul family or soul group, but not always. So we're looking at a karmic relationship on this Wowzer kind of day. And then this here, this comes through as like a kind of a nostalgic-y, static-y kind of feeling, where it's like something about it seems frozen, almost like... It's almost like it's like they're giving me this thing about you being frozen in action, not knowing what to do because there's something hitting you hard that makes you freeze. Like either a realization or a recognition of something that makes you stop and... Okay, so it feels like we're looking at a person you come across as a young lady, and there's an immediate recognition on a soul level where it's the kind of thing where you're like, I have to know this person, I have to meet this person, and what is going on here? Almost like, I know this person, I've never met this person, they feel so familiar. That's what it feels like. So if in this life here, we're looking at you having a reunion with another person that you have had karma established with in another life. Does that make sense? And so it's almost like a feeling you've never had this before. You've felt you have met people where you're like, wow, like it feels like we're best friends, and it feels like I've known you for a long time, and you know, those are always great feelings, and those are fun, and those really do speak to, like, you know, soul reconnections in that way, but never like this, where it's like hit over the head, pow, with like, whoa, I know you need to be in my life right now, and we need to talk. Like, tell me about you, but I already know you. That's what it feels like here. So I feel very much like this is coming through as a message to It's a message for you not to doubt when the magic occurs, first of all, is what they want to bring through. Make sure that you trust when you feel those magic moments in life to kind of, for lack of better words, milk it. Like, allow yourself to invest in the moments that seem surreal or magical or unearthly, or, you know, even if it's like, I'm gonna just randomly throw out, like, if you see let's say you see a UFO or you see a ghost, don't do the thing where it's like, did I really see that? Oh wait, that couldn't have been. No, 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 no. You know what I mean? Like, where we just brush it off because it's just like our brains sometimes, because we don't really know what it is or really can't explain, we just brush it off. Usually it's like, you know, a fear-based response, fight or flight kind of thing. But this is a message for you not to do that. And if you can think back, or if any instances come to mind right now when we're talking about this kind of thing, consider that validation. And even after this reading, whenever you're considering this portion of the reading where we're talking about magical moments or surreal moments or inexplicable moments that have occurred in your life or do occur, anything that comes up, allow that to be validation and allow yourself to sink into it as though it is a true memory and it really happened. And yeah, it may not be able to be explained, but it's almost like a message of like, back off of needing things to be explained. If that's the case, if that resonates with you, back off of the need for things to be black and white or for there to be hard evidence when there is so much evidence in your emotional navigation system, your internal GPS system, your intuition, essentially. There's so much evidence and validation in that alone, but we're not taught how to use it. And so we kind of fumble through it when we finally realize what it is. And it takes so long for a lot of us to trust it. And it's like, no, no, no. These are excellent opportunities whenever you come across a moment that you can't explain, something that seems like, you know, it's like almost like if you've ever, you saw something coming like, oh my God, I'm going to get hit by a car, and then all of a sudden magically it misses you by an inch. Like, that's not your misperception of how close they came. That's like your angels helping you. You know what I mean? Like, just invest in the unknown magical part of it. And when you trust it, that's you trusting your intuition. That's you trusting the unseen forces, so to speak. And the more you do that, the more you form a relationship with your intuition, and that's how you can develop as well, greatly. So just consider that. Okay, so now I want to get into a little bit of this karmic person. So this feels like a male, like this young woman aspect of you is meeting a male. And the male, I feel like, is a different ethnicity than you. And it's almost like, and this is like, you know, back in the day when that wasn't like super like thumbs up kind of thing. But it's like, it is such a magnetic pull that you do not care. So there's something about it where it traverses space and time. It traverses the reality of society in a way that you didn't think was possible or that you wouldn't allow yourself to be because of this just electric pull between you. So this can also be coming through to let you know that it's almost like, I want to say, when it comes to potential mates or partners, that the right partner, there's going to be a knowing there. There's going to be a magnetism there. And it might not be like passionate lust kind of thing at first, at least, but to trust in like the steady, peaceful magnetism or the pull that someone has with you. And it's not over you. It's not a pull over you where they don't feel it as much or at all. This would be a mutual magnetism. And that's coming through now as wanting to say that again, mutual magnetism. I want you to sit and process with the mutual magnetism. And I don't know if you're in a relationship or not, but if you, let's say you're in a relationship and it's not everything, I hate to say everything you want because, you know, it's hard to get everything you want, but it's really also not hard to get everything you want as long as you don't settle, kind of thing. So I want to say, let's say you're in a relationship and you're not so happy, it would probably be because this magnetism is not there. And this soul aspect, meaning part of your oversoul, knows what it feels like to have this almost faded feel where it's like, ah, you're my person. So just know that you know what that feels like, so you can trust your intuition when it does come to a partner. When it comes to trusting that you're with the right partner, or knowing if someone is not right for you, that you know what this feels like, if that makes sense. So we're just going to leave it like that. And because like, again, we talked about if you're in a relationship, you're not happy, but if you are not in a relationship, again, you can trust that you will feel, again, this steady kind of peaceful magnetism. And it's not what do they call it, where it's like animalistic magnetism. Like, again, it doesn't feel like it's like a lustful thing. It would be like, again, steady. There's something very stable and steady, but undeniable. That's what I feel is coming through. So just consider that, run with that. If it resonates with you, great. And anything that doesn't resonate with you here, that's fine. But you want to just tuck it in the back of your mind for a later time, because you never know when these things kind of pop up, whether it's months later or a year down the road kind of thing. So just that's what you can do to to best serve you, is just resonate with what you resonate with. What you don't, tuck in the back of your mind. Okay. So I want to see what this feeling is, the nostalgic feeling. Okay, there's that. Okay. Because then it's also coming with a feeling of, okay. So then there's this feeling of being torn, where it's like, there's feeling of knowing what society would think of this union, but also loving so much and being pulled so much. It's almost like fighting gravity. And so you're torn, of course, because it's almost like you have one foot in one reality and another foot in another reality. It's almost like meeting this person knocked you out of the illusion of society standards. That kind of thing. Like, where you're like, how can people think this way when this feels so like kismet, like so like destiny? You know what I mean? So anyway, keep making connections here, and we're gonna go to the next important day. I do want to mention the karmic card. This is someone that you may have come across already, or will be coming across. Like, this is someone who would be currently alive, so to speak. Or I hate to say that, because you never know. This would be someone that has existed during your lifetime, or is existing in your lifetime. That's what we're gonna go with, okay? Alright, so here we're gonna go to this is the move, let's go card. This is the next important day. So usually when I get this card, it's a geographical move, but it's funny because I just got a reading with this card where it was an emotional move, like a evolution, which is kind of cool, which I never gotten before, but generally this is for geographical. So then we have the relationship, which is the soulmate card, and then here this one is kind of like this is like a sad depression kind of thing. So okay, so this is a carryover from this. So what we're seeing is, moving forward, you guys have come together, but it feels like it's secret. And okay, so then now that feels like secret, we have to go ahead and I have to say some connection to you feeling shame about your desires. So if you are if you're working through shame or guilt when it comes to desires, sexually, romantically, like maybe you're bisexual but you haven't been able to tell your family because they're traditional, or maybe you're curious, or whatever it might be. That might not be the case, but I'm kind of getting at that, where it's like any shame or guilt you've had regarding desire. And this can also be, it doesn't have to be sexual or romantic, it could be your desire to have a certain career, or your desire to live somewhere far away and yet your family wants you near, or do you know what I mean? Or even like we're gonna even go further, where it's almost like a desire where you might have a family and children, and you desire to like just eject, like just go away, start a whole new life, get away from the responsibility or whatever it might be, and then beating yourself up for feeling that. So the main message here, it feels like what we're talking about right now, is making sure you are not beating yourself up for having desires, because you have to honor your feelings. And it doesn't mean like take off and blah blah blah, whatever, be irresponsible or whatever, and not, but it does mean not to judge yourself, because there's going to be so many people, or there's always going to be someone to judge you. Someone's always going to judge you. Like, that's just life. But it's like, if that's going to be the case, then how about you be your best friend and make sure that you are kind to yourself and that you love yourself, and that you see maybe desires that might not be like societally correct or whatever, that you're not frowning upon yourself just because society frowns upon it for you. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing a good job. Well, how about you just love yourself? Like, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind, and see if there is any shame or guilt associated with any of your desires. And this would be a message and a good time for you to start releasing that, letting go, learning to see how you're just human and you have desires and it's okay and there's no right or wrong, even like we're talking about when you might have thoughts, like maybe you're so mad at someone you daydream about killing them, and then you feel bad about it, and it's like, you're human, it's okay, like it's just a thought, like it's alright, you're human. So keep making connections there. Okay, so the moon card. So what this feels like is that to be with this person would require a disconnect from everything and it feels like that is just almost, that it's like too much is what it feels like. So it ends up being like too much and you can't do it. It's like you can't make the move even though you are a strong person and everything. It's the time. So we're looking, again, the cusp of the 20th century. It's the time period. It's that you're a female and that he won't be able to provide the lifestyle that both of you want to make sure that you have, if that makes sense. So it's like this bittersweet understanding that it just isn't gonna work out. And then there's also, and you know what? It feels like it takes a long time. It feels like it takes a really long time because there's always like this returning back, like, oh, but maybe it will be okay, or oh no, I could settle for like, near poverty, like that kind of thing. Because this is someone who, based on the time period, cannot be successful in the ways that he would be able to be successful today, so to speak, if that makes sense, okay? So it's like almost like if your dad is leading a field site dig, he'd be a digger. Do you know what I mean? Like he wouldn't be able to rise above that rank. And unfortunately, it plays a big role in the decision here. And so I feel like there's a big thing here when it comes to you in your current life, that maybe you came back into this life in order to experience the feelings or emotions, I want to say, of following your heart over choosing, I'm trying to like translate the right words, but it's like following your heart over, I'm not going to say what's right, but following your heart over what's comfortable, if that makes sense. And it's like, it's almost like I want to say too, in lieu of that, it's like following your heart will in this life be comfortable, whereas here it could not. That would be the key difference in your decision making in this life based on this, is that if you follow your heart how she wanted to here, couldn't be comfortable here. If you follow your heart in your current life, it would be different. It would be comfortable. There's more opportunity. There's more, I want to say, acceptance. There's more encouragement even. So the card here of sorrow and depression comes into play because it feels like when you finally do make the decision, and it feels like the decision is made when you utilize another man to place your attentions on, kind of like to get your attention off of this guy, so to speak, it feels like a depression sets in. So if you, in your current life, you've experienced chronic depression or bouts of depression, it could very well be stemming from this, because it feels like almost like a vow you took, like to punish yourself. If you've ever felt like you're punished in this life, or if you ever feel like I have to punish myself in order to get a reward or an achievement or to feel successful, like almost like you have to earn something in this life, that this is where it would stem from. And that's something that can be cut off and should be processed and worked through, but it can also be done through hypnosis and meditation, because it doesn't belong in your current life. So that's something, if you resonate with that at all, that's something that does not come from this life. You might be able to find memories where you can link it, but it stems from this, where you chose you chose comfort over love, and it's not vain or anything. It just seemed appropriate. It was just the right thing to do at the time. And so again, what comes up is the idea of judging yourself. So all these things are linked together. And so you just want to keep that in mind. And again, you just look back and see if you've had bouts of depression or sadness, or the idea, again, of punishing yourself or having to earn something in order to be happy. All those notions are counterintuitive. They're not going to serve you. So if you want to have your best life or your happiest life, it would just be wise to just look and see if this is playing a role in your life or hindering you in any way. Because it might be that these kinds of topics are so ingrained in your everyday kind of thought process that it's second nature, that you might not even notice it anymore. It's just a very natural reactive thought pattern, and you need to pay attention to those thought patterns to see where you're being held up or holding yourself back. Okay? Okay. So keep making connections where you can with this. And we're going to go to the death card. And this is the burn baby burn card. So this is usually, I get this a lot for like witches burned at the stake. But what it does feel like is it's just showing me that you extended, I feel like you just ended up where it's like, I feel like there was visits going home, but you always came back to Africa. And it feels like you passed away during like just a hot summer. Like it was just the heat of the region of the summer, and that was the last thing you felt when you passed, and that's why it's coming up. It's not that it killed you. It feels like the passing itself was gentle and normal and old age and natural, but there was something about the heat. So it could be that in your current life, you might have chosen to be born somewhere where you're able to really cool down. Like maybe like, where there's actually like winter versus here where it's like a lot of sun. Or it could be direct, where you're just like a sun baby and you love the sun and you like laying out in the sun and the heat and you like humidity, all that kind of stuff. It could be direct, but a lot of times when we get this, it would be opposite, where a soul has chosen to kind of like feel out some different temperature regions kind of thing. So just something to consider. And yeah, so then we're going to the lesson card. So here we are looking at the enlightenment card. Now, what I want to say about this is it feels like there was a lesson of enlightenment given to you, kind of handed, like the opportunity here of choosing love over whatever, even though it would have created hardship. And it feels like that was one of the lessons that you could have gone with, and not going with that lesson in this life is not bad. It was just a choice. So that's where you get presented again with the same lesson until you choose something differently, so that you can kind of learn the lesson from all different aspects of it. So in your current life, the enlightenment card would come when you choose love, but it doesn't mean loving other people necessarily. Like this was romantic love. In your current life, this enlightenment card can be about you learning to choose yourself. And I feel like that is where we're at right here with this card, is learning to choose self-love and learning that self-love is not selfish. People wanting you to prioritize them over yourself is selfish of them. It's not selfish for you to prioritize your self-love on your own life journey. I mean, this is your life. So consider that and process that and keep making connections with the enlightenment card, okay? Because self-love is going to boost you far, especially like in the realm of spirituality, so to speak. When you stop judging yourself, when you give yourself positive thoughts and feedback and positive, inner world words to yourself, self-care, self-love, all that good stuff. I am worthy, I am enough, that kind of thing. That's going to boost you. That's going to expand you. That's huge. So just consider and play with those notions and keep making connections with that. All right. So anyway, there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections. And thanks for letting me read you.